I drove through Dordrecht and something caught my eye.
Now, these colourful tiles were hand illustrated in South Africa by a group of world-class artists. So right now I'm in Irene near Pretoria, and the old post office is long gone. Hi, welcome to Just Off the Highway. I'm Prodgers. Now, before YouTube and social media, we got our news, both public and personal, by reading words that someone had put down on paper. And those words originated somewhere and had to travel a long, laborious journey to reach us. Stories and information, books and parcels, they were the connective tissue of life. If you were missing someone, a letter was a way of touching the hand that had actually written and sent it. A letter smelled of ink and exotic destinations. And if you were lucky, perhaps a lady's perfume. The mail was important, was revered. And all of these little treasures had to pass through utilitarian buildings like that, drab and official and hopefully secure. People relied on a better slogan than "We deliver whatever we don't take." Post offices were serious places, but not necessarily beautiful ones. So in the 1930s, some of these buildings were given a little extra to reflect their status. And at least 25 post offices in small-town South Africa received ceramic tile panels to display on their outside walls. And each panel is unique and each tells a story. Now, these colourful tiles were hand illustrated in South Africa by a group of world-class artists. Each panel illustrates something special about the town or region where that post office was situated. There's a common theme, a local natural setting, and within it they always include recognisably local people, communicating, socialising, exchanging goods, all the activities that you might expect in a post office. They show diverse people and cultures interacting. They capture the technology and the clothing styles, the implements and transport of centuries, and they place it all in a context. Simply told, easy to follow, often to be read from left to right. I was contacted by Gary Osthoff, who has tracked down these panels all over the country, studied them, documented them in his book called Office Murals of South Africa, not surprisingly. And when Gary told me that he was traveling to the town of Parys in the Free State on the Gauteng border, we arranged to meet so that he can show us around and explain the significance of these little ceramic wonders. But it's important to remember, this is not unique to one town or province. There are post office murals all over South Africa, from Cork Bay to Umhlali to Groblershoop. They're just waiting to be rediscovered and hopefully rescued. There could be some in your hometown. After all, when did you last visit the post office? You might want to reach out and touch the one nearest you while it's still there. Let's go meet Gary and take a look. So I'm here with Gary Osthoff. And Gary, what's your connection to the town of Parys?
My connection is that I grew up here.
When you were growing up here, did you find, were you fascinated by the murals as a child?
Actually, I was much older. It wasn't right away when I saw this, because here were some shrubs growing here, and they were most of the time obscured by the shrubs.
How did these murals come about? How did they end up here on the post office wall in Parys and other little towns?
These murals are applied to government buildings that were built in the 1930s. I think the first one was 1933, the last one around about 1939 or even 1942. It was not only post offices, there are some court buildings, hospitals, and one or two other government buildings that are also adored by these artworks. So for each town, the artwork is part of the town, either part of the history, some historical aspect, something of the industrial development of the town, or just nature around the town.
So tell us a bit about the process of creating the book. What inspired you? What did you do first? How did you go about it?
What inspired me was that there were beautiful artworks here in Parijs, the town I grew up with. Then, many years after I've left the town, I drove through Dordrecht and something caught my eye. And I stopped and I couldn't remember what it was. And I looked around and I saw there were murals at the post office. And then I realized that this is not unique to the Parijs office. There's other post offices. So I wondered about that. And then I did some research and I realized there are many more post offices in South Africa. And some of them I visited accidentally. And what struck me is that the buildings are old, the murals are old. Time is taking its toll.
Let's go and look, and I'd love you to show me some of the details and some of your favorite parts. Okay, so tell us a bit about this one.
This panel depicts the history of transport. It starts off with the bicycle. Then, as you can see, the technology increases, and then also modern cars up to the 1935 land speed record at Verneekpan.
Fantastic. Let's do another one.
Here we have another piece of transport history. In this case, it is air transport. What has to do with the mail routes, it was the first mail route that was developed from London to Melbourne in Australia. And also what's important for South Africa was the route from London down to Cape Town. This building was built in 1936. So what we have here is basically modern information.
And this is also the one panel where you have replaced something and actually rescued this panel.
After many years when I returned here, I saw that this tile was gone. So I did some research of what this plane looks like, this DC-2. And I commissioned a ceramic artist here in town to make a new tile, which we installed here.
I love these details. Let's look at some more.
Here we have a panel depicting the development of rail transport.
I see they've also got little guidelines with dates to help people. It's not just decorative, it's educational as you go along.
The artists did their homework.
Talking about the artist, I see it's signed here, W. Van Hall.
Now that is Wilgie or Wilgevoort Van Hall.
So I see there it's called the Ceramic Studio.
That's correct. The Ceramic Studio is the name of that group. This panel here is a collage of the development of transport. There was what was modern in the 1930s. You see streamlined with angled smoked stacks and so on.
Yes, the artist has actually created an enormous feeling of speed there. I am fascinated here by this big, bold post office. PK there definitely stands for Postkantoor.
Postkantoor, yeah. But it has a local flavor of Parijs. Definitely there is in the corner is the Parijs Hotel.
Daar's hy. Now, positioned as they are, out in the open on a busy street in Parijs, those other little tile panels aren't exactly safe, but at least they are still part of an existing post office. So right now I'm in Irene near Pretoria, and the old post office is long gone. And the tiles that I'm about to look at now just still stubbornly cling to the building that's now privately owned. But luckily, The owners are in the process of renovating and preserving them. Gary Osthoff's book tells me that this large panel is titled Die Voortrekkers. Now, it commemorates the Great Trek that took place around 1838. But 100 years later, this trek was commemorated with a symbolic centenary ox wagon journey from Cape Town to Pretoria, where there was a huge gathering to lay the cornerstone of the Voortrekker monument. Now, the ceramic artist, who was Rosa Hope, she was born in England, but she attended that gathering and made detailed drawings of every aspect of the trek, which she used to paint the striking, authentic detail on these panels. I mean, clothing is accurate, implements are spot on. She's even got exactly the number of oxen needed to pull a wagon. And you can see people who are pitching tents and cooking, and there is even a child playing with simple toys. But the center of focus is this group reading the Bible, symbolizing the faith that was at the heart of everything that the trekkers did. And here, inside the post office, there are tiles of a completely different style. Top is J.A. van der Bijl, who was an earlier developer of Irene. And under him, we can see some famous Cape Dutch houses. Now, they're not actually in Irene, but perhaps they're inspirational, reflecting van der Bijl's vision. And let's face it, in modern times, that vision has changed. But at least thanks to the renovators, it's still alive. So we've been on a journey from a working post office in Parijs via a closed down post office building that's now being privately renovated in Irene. And there's one more mural that I would have liked to have shown you. Now we've arrived in the small town of Helbach in Gauteng. By the way, folks, if you do enjoy the stories on Just Off the Highway, you can see the amount of time and travel that goes into a single episode. I really need your support to be able to keep bringing you these authentic South African stories. So you can become a member or a supporter on buymeacoffee.com/lprodgers and receive exclusive regular bonus episodes. Or you can simply click the thanks button below this video. Or you can go to the official Just Off the Highway website and help yourself to some quality merchandise that helps us stay on the road. Now, the old post office in Helbach behind me is now a branch of Home Affairs, and just inside a security gate is a large panel of tiles. And I said I would have liked to have shown you. In fact, I'd love to see it myself, but unfortunately it's now hidden behind a grimy metal plate and no one inside has the authority to open it up for us. So here's a photo from Gary Osthoff's book that reveals what's now blocked. It adds a note of sadness for me that when you walk by at street level, you can dimly see the top row of tiles, a line of hills that echo the Suikerbosrand in this area. And that's as far as I can take you. If you want to find more about post office murals of South Africa, you've got to get the book by Gernot Osthoff. And here's a list of post offices that have murals. There's almost certainly one close to you. Who knows, there might be a 90-year-old artwork in your community that needs your help to survive. So like the handwritten letters in these old post offices, these tile panels are personal messages to us. Maybe they mean to show us that there are colorful surprises where we only expect to find drab walls. Or maybe they tell us not to be so sure that what's trendy today won't be antiquated tomorrow. But it strikes me that in every single panel, there are people, local people like us. They may be dressed differently, but they're not silent. I think they're telling us that people are important and that we should look after them. Till next time on Just Off the Highway, I'm Prodgers.